Hey there, retail tech enthusiasts. Welcome to the Rising Stars podcast, your go-to source for all things retail technology and the ever-evolving world of point of sale. I'm your host, Kate Orara, Partner Development Manager at Star Micronics, and I am thrilled to be your guide on this exciting journey. Here at Rising Stars, we're not just keeping up with the trends, we're setting them. We dive deep into the tech landscape with global industry leaders, unpacking strategies and discussing the latest innovations that shape the future of retail IT. Whether you're a tech aficionado, a business owner, or just curious about the dynamic world of retail, this podcast is your backstage pass to insider knowledge. And hey, it's not just about the tech, it's about the community. Join me and the Star Micronics team as we lead and innovate, shaping a brighter future for the retail, hospitality, and cannabis industries, as well as beyond. Together, we rise. So hit that subscribe button, stay in the loop, and let's make waves in the retail tech space. This is the Rising Stars podcast, where innovation meets inspiration. Let's rise together. Well, welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Rising Stars podcast. I am really excited today to dive into the world of cannabis. Many of you may or may not be, if you've been living under a rock, the cannabis market has grown significantly, especially as regulations continue to open up, and many dispensaries are starting to open up nationwide. Today, I am joined with Gerson Cedillos from Professional Labeling Solutions. How are you today, Gerson?
Hey, hello, Kate. I'm doing well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. And I'm excited to dive. This is actually my first episode at Star talking about cannabis. And one of the reasons that kind of spurred this is that PLS, or Professional Labeling Solutions, you guys are actually going to be at a cannabis trade show soon, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Kate. We're going to be at the CWCB Expo. It's held in New York City in Manhattan, and I believe it's on June 5th and 6th. It's on a Wednesday and Thursday, the first week of June.
Okay, awesome. And who usually attends those trade shows or that particular show?
Well, the CWCB Expo is a B2B cannabis-centric trade show, so it's going to be a lot of cannabis operators, first of all, right? Because New York is a very hot state right now. They've opened up some of the licensing. There's been a bunch of lawsuits back and forth between operators and the government there. So now that things are opened up, there's a lot more activity in the actual city and outside the city. However, we also have a bunch of operators and organizations from New Jersey that maybe there's another show in Atlantic City, and perhaps that's not a fun place to go, so they just come to New York City instead. So we use this show as an opportunity first to meet new operators, but also just to kind of touch base with a lot of our existing customers. And then, of course, you have software companies, you have businesses and orgs that sell packaging, security, rolling papers, all kinds of machinery that you use in the cannabis industry.
Awesome. Well, and to those that are listening to this before the show takes place, great. Hopefully you'll be able to make some time to stop by and see Gerson and the PLS team. But if not, don't worry. We're not just focusing on the trade show. We're just focusing on the cannabis industry as a whole and how it functions within the channel space. So never fear, this episode is still applicable no matter when you're listening to it. So Gerson, could you do us a favor? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, about PLS and what your role is and how you guys support the channel?
Yeah, absolutely, Kate. So our company is called PLS. That's short for Professional Label Solutions. We are an IT vendor and a managed service provider. We're based in the Metro Phoenix area in Tempe, right near Arizona State University. However, we work all over the United States and Canada. We're not just based in one certain region. At PLS, I have the role as a CEO, and I just oversee operations of the company, oversee hiring and expanding our team, and just really come up with the goal and vision for the company. We look always for different software partners that we can work with as well. And I try to delegate as much as I can to other people on our company so that we can be very efficient and grow every year.
Awesome. Well, one of the things I'm kind of curious too that maybe you could expand on is what maybe separates PLS from some of the other technology partners in the channel space.
Yeah, that's a good question, Kate. So we're unique in the fact that we do a lot of our support and sales in-house. We don't really use any type of overseas call centers or anything like that. So all of our tech support handled in-house by our own tech support team. Uh, we do all of our on-site installations and field service in-house as well. We like to do it that way so that we can, offer better quality control. We don't have to rely on job boards and have inconsistency for our end users. And we also really like to learn a lot about the products that we sell. So, as being an IT vendor, that means we sell for manufacturers, right? OEMs like Zebra, Elo, Star. And we make sure that we learn everything about these products as we sell them, while still trying to be very aggressive in growth. Uh, the difference is maybe you go to another IT vendor and they might not understand all the different, star part numbers associated with like the MC Print 3 or the Star TSP 100 series, or even like the different cash registers. There's several that Star offers. So, I make sure our guys are all trained very well so that they understand part numbers, that they understand who they can leverage within the OEM, in this case, Star, right? Who they can reach out to if they have questions. And, we just try to stay very, very efficient. We don't like to take a long time to reply to people, to get them answers. We've set everything up this way so that we can just keep everything moving forward.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned as far as territories covered, you're nationwide. And we're going to dive into cannabis, don't worry. But what other industries does PLS focus to support?
Kate, we also work a lot in just traditional retail. We have several organizations that we work with nationwide. We do a lot of work in data centers, warehousing, of course, and really just partnering with other software vendors that work in hospitality, retail, yeah, any kind of ERP systems. So really where they work is where we work as well. So not just cannabis centric, but it has become a very big focus for us, as well.
Okay. So maybe could you tell me a little bit more about PLS's journey in supporting cannabis software developers for dispensaries?
Sure, sure. We started here in Arizona in 2016 with a push to serve the market here because back then it was just medical cannabis. There were a couple of trade shows going on. And so we went to the shows, met some people, and decided it was a market or vertical that was underserved. And since then, we've just been growing and growing, attending different shows, meeting different software vendors, different operators. And it still does seem to be like an underserved market or vertical. However, it's also very unique, right? Every state has different regulations and requirements. So it may be something that if you're like a larger IT vendor or VAR, it isn't necessarily easy to get in and start acquiring customers, right? Everyone has something different. All the supply chain issues from the last several years have also contributed to this. There's very specific part numbers and items that certain states will require. And if you're not, having a way to get those set aside for you, you might not be able to meet deadlines. But it's all been very organic growth and just a lot of networking as well. And really just trying to be a professional IT vendor in a space that might not always be very professional, right? A larger company might kind of see it as a novelty or joke. Oh, cannabis industry,
Mhm.
you make weed jokes, but we don't act that way. We treat everyone with respect. We understand the situations that operators and MSOs have to face, and we're always willing to work with them on finding the most efficient way to get them a solution.
I think it's funny you mentioned that too. Like I'm not gonna lie, I think that there's always been that kind of that look at cannabis. It's like, oh, it's the party industry, and I think what's funny is like, well, that's where a lot of the money is. Like a lot of dispensers have like that's. I mean, they're. I mean, it's a very lucrative business from what I notice, especially because Star it has such a very large presence in there. It's like, well, who's laughing now?
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's always a star booth. I feel like at a lot of the shows, even not
Yep.
just the Las Vegas one, but the regional shows as well. So it's always nice to see, our cams and anyone else who goes out to the cannabis trade shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we do take our job seriously. We're still professionals. I mean, we have fun, but we are very serious about what we have to offer, and we
Mm,
focus on that. So,
I agree. Yeah.
absolutely. So, how long have you guys been supporting the cannabis industry?
Since 2016, up
Okay.
until now, and we're just going to continue to support the industry and change with it as it grows. And I know we hear a lot about federal legalization. We still feel that's still a ways away, but every state, a lot of states will authorize not just medical, but adult use cannabis. And as those states come online, we always try to come in and see where we can provide our service and support for operators as well.
So, how have you noticed that maybe the cannabis software development side of things has evolved over the years? Because I'm sure it has. I mean, 2016, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of new operators or new software vendors, Kate. It has changed a little bit in that there's a lot of companies trying to get in. It almost seems like if you were not in on the ground floor, if you were not one of these several companies, it might be very difficult to get in right now, right? Startup money is hard to get. The market is kind of tightening and correcting itself in certain areas. For example, like California, you had a lot of operators that at one point it felt like it was a good market, but now they're having to operate very efficiently in order to stay profitable. Some states like New Mexico, where there's not really a cap on licenses, so you have a lot of operators for a state that doesn't necessarily have a lot of population. I think the software people have had to deliver a very good product, and now they're being required to have good product. I guess is the best way to say it. Their product cannot go down. They can't have weird support issues. You certainly can't. You have to be very reliable. Whereas maybe several years ago, back when it was a little bit more of a novelty, there's a little bit more leeway in that sort of thing. If your software went down a couple times a year, it wasn't that big a deal. But even just the nature of how everything is worked, a lot of these apps now are cloud-based. Back in the day, you used to have your own server to have this type of software because of fears of federal crackdowns on some of these server farms and things like that. So it's become a little bit more open, but you definitely have to be delivering a very good product to make sure you have good SOPs to serve your customers. Otherwise, you might lose business on the software side.
So, what are obviously, you get involved. You said that you like to make sure you understand and learn the products and the solutions and everything. So, what are some innovative features that you have seen within this dispensary specific software for partners that PLS supports?
Hmm. That's a good question. To be honest, it can be difficult to necessarily find innovation in software related to cannabis, right? A lot of them being cloud-based, they use similar plugins and kind of procedures for printing and things like that. We have seen some software vendors that are starting to build out their software around the mobile solutions and mobile printing, where we can now utilize Star mobile printers paired with other mobile devices running Android or iOS, these mobile operating systems. Definitely also a lot of ERP software that's starting to be tied into other software, right? So that now if you have maybe a cultivation and a retail side, but maybe your retail software doesn't play very well with cultivation, you can layer it with another app. Definitely also, I don't want to forget online ordering, but also self-checkout or kiosk ordering has become very efficient. That is also paired sometimes with mobile receipt printing, but really just having like a way for a customer to come and place an order without having to wait in line.
Mhm.
They placed the order, they go wait in line and pay. That's also set up with specific types of software. And that seems to also be a very new and cost-effective trend. That way you can kind of eliminate labor. You don't necessarily need to have 20 bud tenders. You can perhaps go off of half of that, 8 to 10 and efficiently run your dispensary.
Okay. And it's interesting. You mentioned cloud, a lot of very cloud-based solutions, and I'm assuming you sell a lot of the Stars cloud print capable printers as well, correct?
Oh yeah, that's correct, Kate. We do a lot of the MC Print 3, both with and without the hub. A lot of software vendors will use the hub to kind of pair everything to a mobile device like a tablet. So you'll have your barcode scanner, and then you'll even have a way to power the tablet. But even some software companies will just have that MC Print 3 and use it to charge like the tablet and to fulfill online orders or something like that. Almost similar to something like what you might see like in a McDonald's or a Starbucks. If you ever look in the back, you might be able to see like a tablet paired with an MC3 receipt printer.
Okay. Now, are you working directly with the dispensaries or alongside the software partners, or how is that sales process? How does that currently work with you guys?
It varies depending on the software vendor. Some of them want us to be more involved. Some of them we just set up like an online store and provide support as needed. Some of the sales might be quicker, on the fly sales. Some of them it might be longer consultative sales. So it just depends on the software company and also what the cannabis operator wants to do.
Okay. So, what are some, when you're talking with the dispensaries, what are some key considerations you discuss with them when they're selecting the software and the hardware, and what challenges or opportunities have you seen?
We definitely look at what state they're in. Certain states are not, or certain types of software are not authorized in certain states because of back-end compliance. Maybe it doesn't integrate with something called Metric or Leaf Data, which is another similar software app. These are seed to sale apps that help manage a state's kind of back-end adult use program. So just depending on what state they are, we'll typically make a couple of recommendations. Also, we'll go off of budget. What kind of budget do they have? How big are they planning to be? Are we looking at a mom and pop? Are we looking at like a local or regional MSO where they have a couple different stores in a couple different states? We always try to do what's best for the operator, what might suit them well.
Mhm. Okay. Maybe could you provide any sort of success stories, maybe when you teamed up with a partner to provide some sort of innovative solution that made a significant impact on a customer?
I feel like we've had very, very good success with Blaze. Blaze is a software company, right? They're essentially a full ERP, as I understand it now. They keep expanding, and they've recently come out with a cloud version of their app. Originally, it was an iOS app that you set up with like an iPad stack. You have a way to manage and track inventory in the back of house and even cultivation. And of course, it's very star centric, which we like because we like, selling star. Everything always works well. We don't have issues with drivers or anything like that. But I'd say definitely Blaze has been a very good partner. Also, Dispense has been working real well. Dispense is actually an online and kiosk ordering software app that is something that you can load onto like an iPad or like a kiosk in a lobby, and then all of that runs off of like an iPad and like a Star MC Print 3 in the back of house. You'll get your online orders and kiosk orders, and it just prints them automatically from this network receipt printer.
Awesome. Well, what advice? I mean, you said there's people coming into the market and trying to expand. So maybe what are some advice that you would give to aspiring cannabis software developers, or maybe even entrepreneurs that are looking to enter into this space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say definitely have a game plan, a very serious business plan. Make sure you have funding intact, that you have good communication with your team, that you set realistic expectations, that you serve your customer well, treat them well, and definitely just be realistic. Right now, it's there's still a lot of opportunity in the business, but it's also again tightening up. A lot of cannabis operators themselves are not able to write off, hardware and business purchases due to federal regulations, right? Cannabis is not federally legal, so this affects their bottom line very significantly. So they have to be very, efficient. Likewise, maybe your software is very good. You have to set a realistic price. I maybe not charge so much for something you think is worth it, right? It might not be worth it that much to your operators, and also just to network and to continue to attend trade shows. It'd be real nice to continue to try to have some gravitas or seriousness around the industry, right? If if we could move away from handing out free weed and just perhaps find better ways to find good partners and serve the customer, I feel like that would be a step in the right direction.
So I know some of them, but I'm gonna let you talk about it. So you talk about CWBC, which is the one that's coming up in June, the trade show in June. What are some other good events? Because you mentioned networking and trade shows is a really great way to expand your presence. So what are some other events that people should consider attending or exhibiting at?
Yeah, Kate, there's a lot of shows that are regional, right? So you have something called Hall of Flowers that's very good for California. They have one up in Northern California and one in Southern California every year, and that is strictly B2B. That's a very good show. You have different organizations that set up trade shows. Like there's one called NECAN or AnyCan, and they do shows in New England, but also on the East Coast. You have orgs like CannaCon, and we're going to do a CannaCon show in St. Paul in August. They do shows all over the United States, and I think there's even one more, Lucky Leaf, which is very good. They kind of just do 2 or 3 shows a year, depending on where they've had success in the past. We did a show in New Mexico last year that was very good. It wasn't huge, but there was just a lot of good networking and good operators there. Again, because there's no cap, so you can just open a dispensary a little bit quicker in New Mexico, but you just got to be careful. That's a good one. And really just any other show, right? Of course, you have the MJ BizCon. That's like the big one, the best in class. It's like the NRF equivalent for cannabis. And that's just a good place to just go and be seen. Even just for other, gosh, if you're in the industry on our end, right? It just disty events, anything put on by OEMs is a good place to just kind of meet. Gosh, there's RSPA. I think that's a good
Yeah,
show.
they have like a whole section just focused on cannabis now, but it's very channel friendly, I think, which is even better. So you get to others that are in the space and maybe see if there's a way to collaborate and find a partner that may be stronger in an area where you might be weak, to have that support. It's like, oh, well, let's work together and come up with a cohesive, interesting, good solution for my customer.
Yeah, exactly. So I think all those are good. And as everything keeps moving forward, there may be other organizations or shows that might be a good fit, but we just kind of pick a couple a year. Of course, we also try to do some non-cannabis shows as well. We'll be doing NRF here in January. We're looking to do the NACS show, the convenience store show, just to stay fresh and always to diversify. But of course, we have a soft spot in our heart for the cannabis industry. So we'll continue doing that as well.
I love when you keep saying how you're trying to grow in the cannabis. And it's like, yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah, there you go.
There's that unprofessional joke right there.
It's a good one.
Yeah, well, I probably shouldn't quit my job anytime soon. Comedian's not my calling. Well, Gerson, thank you so much for taking time with us today. How can people find you? We'll provide your social media links as well, but how can people find you and find PLS?
Sure, Kate. Our website is plsusa.com. We, of course, have our social media links. I believe we have Instagram and X and Facebook or Meta. And really just probably our website's the best way to get a hold of us. We have all of our contact information on there as well. If you're a cannabis operator and you're working with a software partner, you'll likely get some type of referral and you can reach out to our team. And just really looking forward to continue growing here in 2024, continuing to serve our customers and just really trying to be a good partner for the cannabis industry and also every other vertical, that we serve.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, not only for your time today, but for the partnership. We are so glad that you love Star Products, and not even just the products, but you work so closely with our team here. We very much appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it too.
All right. And thank you guys for watching or listening, whatever your poison is, and we will see you in the next one. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Rising Stars podcast. A huge thanks to our incredible listeners for tuning in and to our phenomenal guests for sharing their insights. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, leave us a review. Let us know what you want to hear more about.
Give us your feedback because it fuels our journey to bring you the best in retail technology. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. As we sign off, remember the future of retail technology is in our hands, and together, we're shaping it. Keep innovating, keep rising, and until next time, this is Kate Orara signing off. Together, we rise.